Epperly, a founder and CEO who's ready to rewrite the definition of imposter syndrome. I created Who Made You the Boss to let you know that you're not alone. If you've been wondering whether your burnout is actually a sign toward evolution, or if perhaps there's something more to these challenges we face as leaders, creatives, and entrepreneurs, you're in the right place if you're looking to embrace the challenges you once perceived as negative, if you're ready to own your entire story, and if you're working to level up your business in ways you never thought possible. You'll learn all of this and more by listening in and doing the hard work you know you were meant to do. So let's get started together today on Who Made You the Boss. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you trusted yourself? Like, really trusted your instincts without second guessing, without looking for someone else's step-by-step guide? This year, I have committed to something I'm calling Riff over recipe. Not just in the kitchen, I'll tell you a little bit more about that later, but in life and in business and in how I'm making every decision, because for too long, I think I followed the recipe, just like I do in the kitchen. It was the one I thought I was supposed to follow. It was someone else's step-by-steps on what I was supposed to do next. And that recipe kept me from trusting what I already knew. And I know I'm not alone in this. I know this is going to resonate with some of you who feel like, wait a minute, am I simply putting one foot in front of the other toward someone else's goal, someone else's version of success? So today I want to talk about what happens when we let go of the script. What happens when we listen to intuition instead of instruction. And most importantly, how this mindset has led me to something completely unexpected. My next season, my next role, and a mission that is so much bigger than just me. So this shift all started, like I mentioned, in the kitchen. I love cooking. I always have. In college, I actually nearly dropped out to go to culinary school, and I was still receiving Le Cordon Bleu brochures long after my parents talked me out of quitting college. Cooking was just always my thing. It was something I've always loved, but I've always had one problem with it. I've been doing it for over a decade. I have always followed the recipe. Even after years of experience, I still grab my favorite recipe app. I follow all the different links. I, have a million blogs that I love. By the way, that recipe app is called Paprika, and I'll link to it in the show notes if anyone else is a fellow pro home cook. But I always follow the instructions exactly. Then last summer, as many of you know, we try to live abroad for a couple months every year. And so last summer we were in Europe and something clicked, especially in Spain, because every single day in Marbella, I would go to the market, I would pick out fresh ingredients, but then I would come home and I would find a recipe to match the ingredients. So even then, I realized I was still relying on someone else's blueprint instead of trusting myself. I trusted myself to buy all of those different ingredients. Why am I trusting someone else to lead me in how to use them? So that's what hit me. If I keep following a recipe, I am not following my intuition. It's like when you rely on your GPS and every single time you're going to the same place, you're just relying on the GPS. You never really actually learn the way, right? You're just listening to someone else's instructions. So for 2025, I came up with this concept of riff over recipe. Riff meaning let's just go with it. Let's trust our instincts here. Let's stop trying to follow a recipe. So I'm applying that well beyond cooking. I'm applying that in life and in business, in the way I structure my days, in the way I make decisions. I'm asking myself very frequently, where am I still following a script when I should be trusting what I already know? This idea very much applies everywhere as a business owner and as a parent and as a creative. How often do we think we're supposed to do this instead of, does this feel right? And listen, I go through seasons with this. Like sometimes I am just purely white knuckling control, gripping onto something so tightly that I bottleneck myself like I did for years in my business. I write a lot about that on my Substack. Other times I release control and I let things unfold. And following the season of stepping out of my CEO role at JetSet, I really tried to approach this with an open-handed attitude. I said, all right, what is for me will not miss me. I will keep my hands open. And I will trust in this journey and I'll trust in my intuition to say yes to the right opportunities. So an example of this is my writing journey, right? I've been very open about how I want to become a published author, how I'm working toward that. And if this was on my own time, on my, like what I think is supposed to happen because I'm following a recipe or I'm following what someone else's experience has been, then I would probably be like, cool, I've got a book deal and on to the next thing. But instead, I'm on submission currently. I'm in a waiting process. I'm seeing what happens. And I'm really trying to remind myself of that. What is for me will not miss me, that the right thing will come along at the right time. And in the midst of all of this, that exactly has happened, not as it relates to publishing, but as it relates to my career and my next season. So I often think of our careers kind of like a train, and just kind of, each season that we're in is a bit of a train car situation. So for the past decade, I feel like I have been on the very clear train car of travel advisor, jumping to the next train car of entrepreneur, jumping to the next train car of CEO. And I always have been able to look out and say, all right, the next couple train cars, I know what they are. I know the next one is writing. I know I'm jumping to that train car. Beyond that, I always had this idea that a future train car would be working in the nonprofit world in some way, shape, or form. I didn't know what that would look like. And I always thought that will be way down the line in the future. But I have had that feeling for a while. I had a real conversation about it, even with Jeremy, about like what would giving back one day look like. But I didn't force it. I didn't know what that would look like until my closest business mentor, Shannon Miles. You've heard her on the podcast. I'll link to it in case you missed the episode because she's just so filled with wisdom. She came to me and told me about a really cool project that she and her husband, Brian, were launching. It is a nonprofit for business owners. And at first, I kind of thought, as maybe you might think, wait, why would business owners need a nonprofit? But the moment I heard their vision, I absolutely got it. Because even as a business owner, I thought, well, like there are other causes, right, that we're donating to or that we're looking at. But there is so much to this. Entrepreneurship is incredibly isolating. There are not enough resources to actually help what is the backbone of American economy, small businesses. And so when you decide to step into that leadership role and you decide, I'm going to start a small business, when you make yourself the boss, you don't always know what comes next. You don't always know where to turn. There is a large amount of fear. There is a huge financial risk. There's just this weight of responsibility. It's staggering. And the statistics are off the charts in what this does to a business owner's mental well-being. 87.7% of business owners struggle with at least one mental health issue. And I get it. I myself have struggled with both anxiety and depression all over my entire adult life, but especially as a business owner, the stress really ratcheted up those struggles for me. And every year, 500,000 businesses in the United States alone shut down. That is 1,600 dreams collapsing every single day. And yet, here we are asking people to do this alone, asking people to create incredible opportunities within our economy without the right support. There are 28 million business owners in the US alone. That is a lot of lives to impact. That is a lot of people who need support. So when Shannon and Brian shared their vision for Owner, which is a nonprofit designed to support business owners, to combat the loneliness, to offer resources that actually help, to provide a safe harbor for business owners, I knew this was it. I knew I wanted in. But I did have a bit of a condition coming from a leadership role. I was like, guys, I do not want an executive role. I do not want to manage things. I do not want to build out systems. I want to tell stories. I want to use this next season of my life where I know I am able to communicate, to be an advocate, a spokesperson, a storyteller. That is what I do best. And they were like, you're hired. So I am stepping into what I feel like is a dream role as the brand advocate for Owner, that I feel so uniquely equipped based off of my background, based off of going from the hustler stage to the entrepreneur stage, to the CEO stage, to the owner stage after I stepped out of the company that I founded. I feel like this is divine timing. And I don't know what you believe in. For me, I am faith-based. I believe in God. I feel like this is God's evidence of what he has done in my life in the past decade, now getting to pay it forward for other people. And so being a part of this first of its kind nonprofit created to support business owners in a way that hasn't existed before is absolutely humbling. It is so exciting to me. They've created incredible courses and resources, and they offer them based on a pay what you can model, meaning that no one is priced out. It's about creating servant leaders and equipping entrepreneurs and ensuring that more businesses don't simply survive, that they actually thrive. So if you are a business owner, I cannot encourage you enough to go check this out. Go to Owner's website. I'm linking to it in the show notes, but I'm going to tell you about it here. It's o-nr.org. Owner is spelled O''N''R. And just a little bit of the backstory on this too, because this lands so much for me. When Brian and Shannon were first starting to talk about these concepts, they would always reference the idea of own, not run, right? When we're in business so often, we run the business. Our business runs us. But the concept is, how do we as business owners use our best gifts and our assets to actually look at this as an opportunity to own and to step into the highest calling, to expand. I talk a lot about the law of expansion, which I learned from them. I will link to that in the show notes as well. But we can do this when we are moving more toward owning our business versus running our business. So that's the concept behind Owner. And I think if that resonates with you, this is a community you are going to want to be a part of. So as I step into this next season, I am being highly intentional about where I show up. Social media for me, like the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the things like that, are feeling very heavy these days. It's not a place I love being. First of all, I can't stop my thumb from doom scrolling, and that's never fun. But also the energy that is present there is not always my favorite place. So you'll probably see me a little bit less there. But where I am showing up, where I am finding incredible positive energy and momentum, is Substack. I have been writing up a storm there. I'm building really deep conversations with individuals who value exactly what we value by listening to this podcast, right? The idea of professional and personal fulfillment, that we can step into the careers we want, that we can achieve the dreams that we have without sacrificing the people we are. If that is something you want to be a part of talking about, I'm connecting with people over on Substack. So that'll be lindseyepperly.substack.com. I'll link to that in the show notes. Ironically, in all of this too, because it is actually a chance for me to step into a new identity and step into a new season. I had chosen to go by Lindsey Epperly professionally because my company was Epperly Travel. I was honoring the legacy that my dad had built. I love that so much, and I love the story that is there. I also love the idea of being able to say the same last name as my children and as my husband. And so you'll probably see me showing up like an Owner as Lindsey Sulik, as my married name. This is an opportunity for me to be able to really step into the next chapter and season of my life that honors who I am as a chairwoman of Jet Set World Travel, as the wife of Jeremy Sulik, as the mom to Mila and Margot. And so I hope you'll follow me on this journey. I hope you will connect with me on Substack. And of course, subscribe here. There will be future ideas and episodes and everything coming out. But in the meantime, since we're ending this season 4, I really, really want to push you toward what Owner is building, if that resonates with you, because I think it's going to give you incredible community. And even if you're not a business owner, again, follow me on Substack. That is another place where you can get more of what we are talking about, Who Made You the Boss. So in between now and then, my challenge to you is to really think through just one area in your life where you can apply this concept of riff over recipe. Just one. Maybe it's your business. Maybe it's your relationships. Maybe it's how you structure your day. Try to let go of that step-by-step formula and begin trusting what you already know and see what happens. And if this episode spoke to you, share it. Send it to a friend who's a business owner or someone navigating leadership or someone just who needs to hear that they are not alone and that they have within them what it takes to succeed. That when we follow our intuition, we can go so much further than when we are following someone else's steps towards success. So this is the final episode of season 4 of Who Made You the Boss. And I want to say thank you for showing up and for listening and for being part of these conversations. I am so excited to see what's next. See you soon. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Who Made You the Boss. If you've gained something meaningful from today, my one request is that you share it with a friend. And after you do that, I'm going to invite you to check out a resource that I am passionate about. This is not an ad. It is something I wish I would have had when I was building my own business. As you may already know, most businesses stall when the business owners fail to work on themselves. That's why we're here, right? We all want to grow and be better. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Owner, which is a first of its kind nonprofit for business owners. By focusing on the intersection of personal growth and business progression, Owner educates business owners to thrive both financially and personally. For more information, please visit www.o-nr.org. I really think you're going to benefit from it. See you next time.